In the quiet and peaceful town of Grand Forks, North Dakota, an inexplicable mystery unfolded on an otherwise ordinary November day in 2003. Dru Sjodin, a vibrant and compassionate young woman deeply rooted in the community, disappeared without a trace after completing her part-time shift at Victoria's Secret. This marked the commencement of a riveting journey through cryptic phone calls, shocking discoveries, and an unwavering pursuit of truth and justice. Dru, a dynamic and ambitious 22-year-old, was not merely defined by her role as a student majoring in visual art at the University of North Dakota and her part-time job at Victoria's Secret. She was a unique fusion of creativity and compassion, expressing herself through various forms of art, from sketching to painting to capturing the world's beauty through her lens. However, what truly set her apart was her profound commitment to helping others, a trait that had earned her the affectionate moniker Doodles in her earlier years. Despite her busy schedule, Dru devoted her time to underprivileged children, organizing bowling outings, and instilling the joy of reading in their lives. Additionally, she channeled her energies into fundraising for organizations like the American Diabetes Association, leaving an enduring impact on her community. Dru was not only an athlete, excelling in sports such as volleyball and golf, but she was also a beacon of positivity and kindness. On that fateful Saturday, November 22, Dru completed her shift at Victoria's Secret at 4 p.m., her vibrant spirit undiminished. Little did she know that her workplace, a stepping stone toward her dreams, would soon become the haunting backdrop for an unfolding mystery. Dru, with her purse in tow, left the mall at 5 p.m., seemingly concluding an ordinary day. However, fate had other plans in store, as the next moments would be shrouded in uncertainty, setting off a chain of events that would captivate the entire community. Dru, with her sights set on an upcoming adventure, a trip to Australia in the spring of 2004, was unknowingly stepping into the unknown. Each paycheck brought her closer to her dream, and as the clock struck 5 p.m., Dru left the mall, anticipating a regular end to her day. However, destiny had something sinister in mind. Approaching her car, Dru was oblivious to the chilling turn her life was about to take. Due for work that evening, her absence at the scheduled time raised concerns among friends and colleagues. Dru's boyfriend, Chris Lang, became one of the first to realize that something was amiss. Although he received a phone call from her shortly after she left the mall at 5 p.m., with an unsettling ending, Dru uttering the words, "Okay," before the call abruptly disconnected. He didn't initially grasp the gravity of the situation. As evening turned into night with no sign of Dru, worry transformed into fear. At 7:42 p.m. that same night, Chris received another call from her phone, characterized by static and the sound of someone fumbling with the buttons. The police were alerted, and a search of the parking lot revealed a knife sheath beside Dru's car, hinting at the grim possibility of an abduction. Desperation mounted, and the police reached out to Dru's phone service provider, discovering that her phone had pinged off a cell tower near Crookston, Minnesota. This suggested that she had been taken across state lines, turning an already perplexing disappearance into an even more ominous mystery. The search for Dru, a collaborative effort between volunteers and law enforcement, became a testament to the unwavering determination of the community. Fields and forests were scoured, every lead followed diligently, but the young woman remained elusive. Then, 3 days after her disappearance, a chilling discovery sent shockwaves through the investigation. A shoe belonging to Dru was found near a bypass road close to Crookston, Minnesota, in proximity to where her phone had last pinged. The atmosphere in Grand Forks grew heavier with each passing day. Hope, fragile as a flickering candle in the gathering darkness, persisted. Dru's family, friends, and the entire community clung to the belief that she would be found safe and sound. However, it was during this time that the investigation took a dark and unsettling turn. A tip from a vigilant member of the public led the police to a man named Alfonso Rodriguez Jr., residing in the area and present in Grand Forks on the day Dru went missing. Alfonso's background sent shockwaves through law enforcement. He had been released from prison just 6 months earlier and was living with his mother in Crookston. Even more disturbing was his classification as a Level 3 sex offender, the highest risk category, with a chilling history of serving 23 years in prison for multiple assaults and an attempted sexual assault. Alfonso confessed to being in Grand Forks on November 22, even claiming to have visited the same mall where Dru worked. However, his story began to unravel under scrutiny, particularly when questioned about watching the movie, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, in the mall's theater. A claim contradicted by the theater's records and local listings. Suspicion continued to mount, but it was the evidence found in Alfonso's possession that sent shockwaves through the investigation. A thorough search of his 2002 Mercury Sable uncovered a knife concealed in the trunk, with traces of blood on the car's rear window and seat. DNA testing left no room for doubt it was a match with Dru's DNA. Yet, the most haunting truth remained the whereabouts of Dru Sjodin, despite the damning evidence against Alfonso Rodriguez Jr., remained a chilling enigma. Arrested and facing federal charges, Alfonso continued to deny responsibility. Several months later, on April 17, 2004, a tragic event unfolded when Dru's lifeless body was discovered in a drainage ditch outside of Crookston. The grim scene revealed Dru partially unclothed from the waist down, her hands cruelly bound behind her back, and her lifeless form lying face down. The location where her body was found had been previously searched but remained concealed beneath the snow until the thaw revealed the horrific truth. Disturbingly, there were signs of brutality. A rope and remnants of a plastic grocery bag were discovered around her neck. The autopsy conducted on Dru's body aimed to determine the exact cause of her death. The findings indicated that she may have succumbed to asphyxiation, a slash wound to her neck, or exposure to the harsh elements. The gravity of this crime was underscored by the allegation that Alfonso had taken Dru across state lines before her tragic demise, leading to federal charges and the consideration of seeking the death penalty, a stance the prosecution made unequivocally clear throughout the trial. The prosecution contended that there was no room for doubt Dru had been kidnapped, transported across state lines, and ultimately murdered, potentially suffering violation. The jury was presented with compelling evidence, including a knife found in Alfonso's car, a knife sheath located near Dru's vehicle, and DNA analysis linking Alfonso to the crime. Additionally, hair and fiber samples from Dru's body and belongings further connected him to the horrifying act. Dr. Michael McGee, the medical examiner, played a pivotal role in the courtroom drama, testifying about Dru's injuries and the circumstances surrounding her death. Dr. McGee pointed to 2 substantial cuts on her neck as the likely cause of her demise, although he couldn't definitively rule out suffocation or exposure. The torn pink sweater and displaced pea coat hinted at a struggle, emphasizing the brutality of the crime. However, the defense's perspective diverged significantly from the prosecution's account. Alfonso had offered to plead guilty to avoid the death penalty, but this offer was declined. The central disputes revolved around whether Dru was sexually assaulted and the critical question of where she met her fate. The defense argued that there was insufficient evidence to support an assault allegation, contending that Dru likely perished from suffocation mere minutes after her abduction. Alfonso was ultimately found guilty in federal court of kidnapping, resulting in Dru's death, and the jury, after weighing both sides' arguments, unanimously recommended the death penalty, a historic decision for North Dakota, which had not seen a death sentence in nearly a century. The state, not having the death penalty, considered it only in federal cases. The sentencing was a heavy moment for Judge Ralph R. Erickson, who acknowledged the gravity of the situation, remarking that it was the worst day of his life. Alfonso's attorneys immediately requested a new trial, but it was denied. They appealed and requested a stay of execution until the appeal was heard. In 2021, the same judge who sentenced Rodriguez to death, Ralph R. Erickson, overturned his sentence and ordered that a new sentencing phase be conducted due to misleading testimony from a medical examiner and limitations on mental health evidence. The testimony in court of Michael McGee, the Ramsey County medical examiner, was deemed unreliable, misleading, and inaccurate. Rodriguez's attorneys were criticized for limiting the mental health evaluation of Rodriguez, potentially missing the opportunity to use the insanity defense. On March 14, 2023, prosecutors announced that they would no longer seek the death penalty for Rodriguez. Rodriguez was sentenced to life without parole on May 18, 2023. The town of Grand Forks, once haunted by the mysterious disappearance of Dru Sjodinin, finally found closure, albeit in the shadow of unanswered questions and the unsettling realization that justice, despite being served, could not erase the pain and loss endured by Dru's loved ones and the community at large.